Kia tātou, welcome back to the Wargaming Den. Another game of Kings of War for you. This week's game sees me travelling down to Dunedin where I had a game against Jeff and his Ogre army. Jeff and I have played once previously at Southcon last year where his Ogres defeated my Elves. Let's see how my Varangur fare against his Ogre force. Slightly different army to the one I used against Gordon last week. I've still got the 2 regiments of Night Raiders with the Wolf Handlers upgrade, the Huskarls with the Mead of Madness, and 2 regiments of Mounted Sons, one of which has the guise of the Deceiver. I've taken the regiment of Tundra Wolves. This is the one area I'm not 100% sure on. I like the idea of the troops for chaff, but I definitely like running the regiments as well, so I'm not sure which way I'm going to go there when it comes to Onslaught coming up in a couple of weeks. Frost Giants getting another run today. The Magus, after my game against Gordon last week, I saw the benefits of the Amulet of the Fireheart being allowing you to cast 2 spells in 1 turn, so I thought I might give that a bit of a crack. I've got the Lord on who I've given the Wings of the Honey Maze this time. He's got Devoted Icon, which I gave Brutal. I need to change that. I prefer the Stealthy and the Snow Fox. I wanted that 21-inch range, I decided after last week's game. And then I've got the 2 Thanes on Phosphang. And again, based on the game and advice from Gordon, I've added the Trickster's Wand to one of those to try and shut down some spell casting. So 2,000 points as usual. I think I've got 19 unit strength. Let's now have a look at Jeff's list. Jeff's changed his list a wee bit since last time I faced him. He's taken 2 hordes of shooters. For some reason I thought there was only 1 when I started deploying, and then realised that I put both my shooters facing, or my Night Raiders against 2 units of shooters, which was far from ideal. He's got a horde of hunters. Hunters I really like in the Ogre list. The more I play the Ogres, the more I see the benefits of them. They've got the ensnaring, they've got Pathfinder, they're great in bag going. Just have to be a bit careful with how you use them. He's also taken a horde of Berserker Braves, who he gives the Brew of Sharpness. That means they're hitting on a 3+ with 30 attacks. I really don't want to be facing a charge from them. He takes 2 Warrior Chariot regiments. They are there to do a lot of the heavy lifting for him. Speed 8, Crushing 1, Thunderous 2. They hit like a freight train if they do get those charges off. So again, I need to try and limit those. I've always been a fan of the sergeants with heavy crossbows, especially now with Elite, as I think I've mentioned before. So he's got 2 of those. He's got a single Warlock with a Boomstick and Lightning Bolt, which gives him Lightning Bolt 5, and then he can add the additional dice from nearby Ogre units as well. So he can throw out a few Lightning Bolt dice there. And the one character that I've never run is Grok Gagamok, or whatever he's called, with the Blast D3 if he hits. A lot of points in a single character, but if he does hit something, it's going to hurt. So let's have a look at some of Jeff's army. And these are his Berserker Bullies, and beside him the model he uses for Grok. The Grok model is actually, I think it's a Wizards of the Coast Undead Ogre that he's done a bit of converting to, and added a cloak, which he just placed on him today. So that's a pretty cool model. And his hunters, always like the hunter models from Mantic. They look really awesome, and like the basing he's done for these guys. Very good through bag going, and if they can get a flank and stuff, and with ensnaring as well, they're pretty damn handy. And finally, his heavy hitters. Here's one of his regiments of chariots. So the old chariots like mine are, the ones that are too big to get more than 2 of them on a regiment base unless you do quite a bit of converting. But good unit, really solid on the attack, and I need to watch out for those today. The mission we're playing today is Dominate. So that's the objective there. So at the end of the game, you've got to be within its unit strength within 12 inches of that. That is going to count. I put my Night Raiders in the woods. They use their scout to come forward to get into range of the shooters. There's also the Lord there as well. Mounted Sons with the Thane nearby and the other Mounted Sons for my centre, hidden behind the hills as much as I could. Then I've got the Huskarls over here, Frost Giant and the Thane, and just out of sight over here is where I put the Tundra Wolves, the idea being that I wanted them to race up here and just try and get the flanks and put some pressure on these units over here. Jeff deployed in 2 battle groups. He's got his Hunters, his Berserkers, Grok and a Sergeant over here, and then he's got his Chariots on the outside and both his shooting units in the Warlock and the Sergeant there. So he's got a lot of firepower here. I really don't want to go anywhere near this area till I've found a way to neutralize some of that shooting. We talked about it after the game, and maybe even having his shooters over here to control close to the objective might have been worth doing as well, but at the start of the game he wanted to take advantage of the walls that we had over here. So there we have it. Let's roll on to turn 1. Jeff took the first turn, advanced just a little bit in the centre with his Chariots up the front here and his Sergeant, kept his shooters back shooting. I'd advanced a wee bit with my scout moves, fired over here, did a wee bit of damage I think, and he advanced as far as he could onto the hill over here with Grok with his bullies and his hunters nearby as well. So not a great deal of damage done on turn 1 by the Ogres. And here we have my first turn. Not a great deal of action. I retreated my Night Raiders back into the wood a bit, basically so that when the Chariots come charging in, they're going to be hindered hitting the woods here, trying to give my guys every advantage I can. These other Night Raiders had taken a few wounds from all the shooting, but between stealthy and cover, they survived pretty well. I moved my Lord with Honey Maze up here, the thought being that he could act as some very expensive chaff this way, or potentially expensive chaff this way. I was also tempted to close down the shooting from the Sergeant, take him on, but I was worried that I was then going to be charged by one of these lot as well, and the odds of me surviving probably weren't that great. So next turn we'll see which of those options I decided to take. Just stayed back here at present. No need to get onto that hill and get shot by all that shooting this early in the game, I figured, so held back. The problem with my Tundra Wolves are tucked around here. They advanced 18 and pivoted so that I can put pressure on this flank, force the Hunters hopefully to turn to deal with them. But because I took the regiment, it meant that I lacked some chaff. So I threw my mages forward, got him just into Alchemist's Curse range of Grok. Did about 3 or 4 wounds on him, if I recall. What I forgot though was I had the Amulet of the Fireheart. I should have lightning bolted him as well. Threw him so far forward that I was hoping that that if he did get splattered by Grok, that Grok wasn't then able to advance into another unit. So wee bit of a gamble. And the other thing I did is I threw the Frost Giant forward as well. 30 attacks from the bullies with the Blade of Sharpness meant that Frosty wasn't going to survive very long. He was in range though for his breath attacks, so unless I used that before he met his maker. But the thought being I needed to sacrifice something. Probably would have been a bit cheaper to sacrifice a Thane to do that. Would have been the smarter move, I guess. But anyway, the idea is that they charge in here, they kill him, and that's going to ideally allow my Huskarls and my Mounted Sons to charge, preferably with flank charges. So yeah, a bit of a sacrifice for him. On reflection, probably should have done it the other way round. Anyway, so that was my turn. Wee bit of shooting, but nothing to write home about. Oh, and my Thane with the Trickster's Wand shut down the Warlock for the next turn, so that was pretty good. And on my right flank, Jeff charged in with the chariots. I'd moved back in my turn to try and make sure that he was hindered on this charge coming in. But even so, I think I took 9 wounds and was almost routed, which was far from ideal. But because I've got stealthy and in cover, the shooters were trying to hit me on half dice most of the time. The sergeant was a bit of a pain. I actually think I might have put some wounds on him with my own shooting, and that is the hand of God demanding that the ogre chariots are victorious. And on the other flank, nobody was really very surprised to see the bullies charge into the frost giant. I actually thought he was going to charge in with both, but he decided to flatten my wizard and then try and charge through after he'd killed him and hit one of my other units. Luckily he didn't roll enough, but yeah, as you can see there, I did 4 wounds on him last turn, so not as many as I thought I'd done, but he dies and he dies. And as you can see, the various shooting and lightning bolts and things have been doing quite a bit of damage. 7 wounds on these guys, up to 9 wounds with my Night Raiders here. They got really lucky and were only wavered though, much rather than totally dead, and even a couple of wounds on the Lord over here. So under quite a bit of pressure on my right flank. And that's just a nice aerial view of the whole thing. So there's Grok after he'd killed the wizard, had moved forward a couple of inches short, and the bullies there. But you know, I've got flank attacks coming in. I've got Huskarls, I've got a Frost Fang. I've got quite a bit of stuff to be able to counter these two. So I'm quite happy with that. And what I decided to do is this guy here. I was tempted to go after old Mr. Sergeant here. He had 4 wounds, 3 or 4 wounds on him anyway, but decided what I really needed to do was slow down these chariots. So I sacrificed him to go zooming over this way and engage with them. And I got really lucky against the chariots. One unit was wavered, as we've already seen. These guys charged in, hit with 6 dice, wounded with 5 out of the 6, needing 5s to wound against the chariots, and then I rolled a 10 and wavered them. Totally unexpected, but very happy with that outcome. And how's the rest of my sneaky turn? So there you can see the Lord went flying over there, did 2 or 3 wounds on the chariot, and he actually survived the counter charge. I got these guys too close to my Sons of Korgan over here. The Sons of Korgan killed Grok and then repositioned. These guys just tucked around here, turned, the idea being to charge the chariots in the flank next time and trying to minimize the amount of shooting potentially coming at them. And again, the Huskarls and the Thane killed the bully. Over here, we haven't put them there, but that's where my Tundra Wolves are, and it looks like there the angle is such that the hunters have a rear charge, but they don't actually. The way we had it positioned, it was slightly round more. My Tundra Wolves were well and truly clear of any possibility of a charge, and again just wanted to put some pressure on the sergeant and stuff over here. So turn 2, we'd both taken a bit of damage, but overall I was quite happy, and I was happy to have slowed down these chariots. Jeff's response, lots of shooting again, took off the Night Raiders there with his shooting. He would move the walls because his units were on them, but he had all that shooting there. He had a Warlock and he had the Sergeant, and more than enough to to take care of my night raiders, and also these shooters put 3 wounds on my mounted sons. These guys were wavered, so weren't able to do anything. This is where Jeff did get unlucky. He put a few more wounds on my Lord over here, but he really fluffed his damage rolls and only did 1 or 2. So rather than just slowing him down for a turn, actually my Lord is going to keep the chariots out of the way for much longer. Over here, the sergeant had turned, fired, and put, I think, 3 wounds on the tundra wolves, and same, the hunters have now turned enough to be able to charge on their next turn, assuming that I'm still somewhere nearby. So what did I do in my turn? Tundra wolves, have turned them around to face the wrong way just because oh no, sorry, that must be at the end of the turn. Tundra wolves came in, as did their lord on the Frostfang here, and took out the sergeant, and then the Tundra wolves turned to face the hunters. I sent in the other Thane on a Frostfang to help the Lord, and together they did quite a few wounds on the chariots over here, and maybe got a waver. I think that might indicate that it's a waver there. And I also, down here, the Sons of Korgan charged into the flank of the chariots, destroyed them, then turned to face all the shooting. So again, very happy with where things were at the end of that turn. What happened in return? The hunters took out the tundra wolves, so we're never going to survive that charge. Nothing happened there. Few more wounds, got up to 6 wounds with the Sons of Korgan, and they were wavered. He rolled maybe a 9 to waver them, and because all my inspirings over here, not much I could do about that. And you know, these guys have stealthy. That's the marker I use to show that they've got the whatever it is of disguise. So, bit annoyed that they got wavered because they were going to charge them, or they were going to charge him. These guys helped to kill the chariots, and are still just hanging in there, advancing in the middle to contest the objectives as well. So I also threw my Thane in here against the ensnaring hunters, just to try and slow them down, and also hopefully if he survives, it's going to mean my Huskars have a flank charge there. And the Lord and the Thane took care of the chariots, and I just turned the boat slightly. But what I forgot, as I always forget, is that meant that if any of these shooters charge the Lord and kill him, they can also hit the Thane. I should have probably just run him straight forward and then turned the Thane, but whoops, wasn't to be. Turn 5, and I am fast running out of units. Yes, sure enough, the shooters charged, even going over the wall and being hindered. They took out the Lord and then charged into the Thane, doing a couple more wounds on him as well. So that was something I probably shouldn't have let happen. Few wounds on the Thane, but not enough to kill him, which means that the Huskars are coming in with 40 dice with crushing too. So the objective, I think it's under here, these guys. So I've got 3, 6, 7 units strength around the objective. Jeff's just got these guys, which probably have unit strength of 2. So he's taking care of the night raiders down here. He needs to get these guys moving over this way to try and contest, and now my job's just to try and slow them up and make sure that doesn't happen. And the end of my turn, yep, sure enough, the hunters didn't survive the Huskars in the flank. I sent the mounted sons in. We got a waver against the shooters, and they had the Thane with them as well. So I'm contesting the objectives with them potentially, and with these guys, and also with him. So things are looking pretty good for the Varangur from that point of view. Just a shot of the intimidating ogre gun line. It does need to keep moving forward though. And the situation at the end of turn 6. So killed the shooters. Thane's in range as well. Thane over here is in range of objective. The Huskarls are in range of objectives. We did get a turn 7. These guys charged and didn't do enough. Oh, and my Thane was fighting the Warlock over here. Didn't kill him by the end of the battle, but I think Jeff moved over here with his sergeant, took some shots at my Thane, but didn't kill him. So shooters came in, didn't kill me, and that's where we ended. They were up over here, so contesting, but I had 3, 6, 7 points to his 2. So it was a pretty brutal game, and turns 2, 3, and 4, and I was really running out of units towards the end, and not sure how it was going to go. But it's a tough thing with the ogre shooters, because you like sitting back and shooting. I've been guilty of it as well, but you really do need to get them starting to move on turn 4 onwards to make sure that they're going to be able to get into contesting range. In later game, they're hitting on 4s. You've got 18 attacks. They're really good at mopping up damaged units as well. So they're a good all-round unit. We discussed afterwards whether or not actually having the shooters here, probably rather than behind the cover, probably would have been a good idea. They would have been able to dominate this area and advance when and if needed to contest as well. But overall, it was a really good game. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Really enjoyed getting to play against Jeff and seeing his very awesome gaming room where this table is set up, and hope to be able to get down there, have a few more games against him in the not too distant future. But we will be seeing him again in 2 or 3 weeks. We're holding Oamaru Onslaught 3, and he's coming up with a couple of the other Dunedin players, so hope that we'll be able to have a rematch, because my army is going to be very similar to this, and he's looking at bringing his ogres again. So yeah, stay tuned. You might see another battle report between the two of us before too much longer. Anyway, that's all for today's report. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to have another one for you soon. Ka kite anō.